Well, hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Unlocked. I'm Tracy Wilson, your host, and I'm going to be here for about a half an hour. Today, you might be wondering, Trace, this is not normally the time that you go live. It's like lunchtime, and normally you're live on a Friday at about 10 a.m. And if you are thinking that, you would be absolutely right. Normally on a Friday morning, I'm going live at 10 a.m. But today I thought I would change it up a little bit and let's do a lunchtime session. Why? Because we can. So I hope you guys have got yourself a cup of coffee and some lunch if you are on the Gold Coast, or you're in Brisbane or in Australia, because it's about lunchtime now. But if you're anywhere else in the world, it could be late in the evening for you guys. But anyhow, nonetheless, welcome to the show. Today, I love Fridays, and I love Fridays because they're kind of the day that I get to share, tips, tools, resources, etc., for you guys. And normally on a Wednesday show, I have a guest that comes along, and we kind of unlock anything to do with how to thrive across your business, your family, and your life. And hence the reason I love, Fridays so much, is because I kind of go solo. It gives me an opportunity to share with you guys tips, tools, resources, etc. And I always have fun making them sort of things for you guys. So today, given that it's Friday, I've got something pretty special for you guys that I want to give to you after the show. So if you are someone who is looking to speak on people's live shows, perhaps you want to be a guest on Unlocked or on the Take a Stand show with myself, Tracy Wilson, or you want to be on the show with Vicky Helm or anybody else in the Metadime network of speakers and shows that we run, or you actually want to be on, other people's shows and podcasts. Now, a lot of the time, they're going to want some material from you. They're going to want to know who you are, what you're about, and why you should actually be a person that they should give their time to and their audience to by putting you as a guest on one of their shows. And often they will ask you to complete a set of questions or to provide them with some sort of media kit. And I've seen this question actually was funny, because as I was planning out the show for today, I was scrolling through my Facebook newsfeed and actually saw somebody asking, hey, how do I go about creating myself like a speaker's one sheet or a bio or a media kit that I can actually use to help me gain more speaking opportunities on podcasts and also on shows. And I had a bit of a smile on my face and thought, yeah, you need to come to today's Unlock show, because today is the day that I'm going to be unlocking exactly how you go about doing that. So, like I said, often on a Friday, I have giveaways for you. So I'm going to be true to my promise, and I'm going to give you guys something away as a result of this show. So I'm going to go through all the things that your speaker's kit or your media kit should have in it. So I'm talking about either a one sheet or I call it a two pager. We have 2 pages that actually has all the information that you would need to give to somebody else to pitch to them why you would make a awesome guest on their show or on their podcast. So I'm actually going to give you my guide, and I'm going to give you a template that you can also use to create your own speakers two-pager. All right, so I'm going to say it's not a one sheet, it's a 2-pager, because I prefer to use 2 pages because it's very, very restrictive trying to get everything you need to get on your page in one page. So that being said, let me run through the things that are ideal to have on your inside of your speaker's kit on your 2-pager. And I say this because I've sent this off to many a person to be a guest on their podcast and on their shows, and it works a treat. And also, these are the sorts of things that I'm looking for when somebody is applying to be a guest on any of my shows. So, and again, I've also given this to many of our students, and they also use it, and it's very, very successful. So the first thing that you want to include in your speaker's kit is a really high quality headshot of yourself. So if you do not have one of those, I would highly recommend that you invest in one. You will find that piece of kit in your in your toolkit is going to serve you well, and it will usually last many, many years. So go get yourself a decent headshot. My photographer friends are going to love me for saying this, but it is worthwhile spending the money to get a really good headshot. If you're pretty a bit of a dab hand with, a camera yourself, or you've got a friend or a family member who's pretty good at that too, of course you could use your, you could use your iPhone and give that a crack too. But just get some really good high quality headshots that you can use to put on not just your media kit or your two pager, but also for any other online material or printed material that you want to use for promotional purposes. Like I said, it's going to serve you really, really well if you invest in getting yourself some decent headshots. So make sure you've got at least one of those. Ideally, you want to have at least two of them. So these two I always put onto to all of my media kits. So I have like a main headshot, and then I might have another headshot that I also use that the person that I'm going to speak with could also use in any promotional material. The next thing that you want to make sure that you have on your speaker's sheet is you want to have a tagline. So you want to create yourself a tagline, which is kind of just like your message. What is it that you stand for? That can be a sentence. It could be a really short, a few words. It could even be a few bullet points. So I always find that bullet points work really, really well for me. So that's the other thing that you would want to make sure that you have on. So today I'm going to kind of rattle off all of these things that, you want to make sure that you include in your speaker's kit. But like I said, I'm actually going to give you all of these in a guide. So at the end of today's show, I'm going to give you a link that you can go to. You can download this guide and you can work your way through it. But not only that, I've also got a template for you guys to be able to use. So you can take the information that I'm giving to you today, but I'm also giving to you inside of the guide that I provide to you, and you'll actually be able to take that and put it on the template and utilize the template that I provide to you to customize it to your liking. So the next thing you also want to make sure that you include on your speaker's sheet is your website and a link and I'm going to say a link to your authority website. So what I'm meaning by that is you want to create a website that's just all about you. So a Tracy Wilson website, for example, and that would be a place that people could go to find out all about me. You want to have a website that does the same thing. So if your name is Joe Blogs, then you would have a Joe Blogs website, and that would be the place that they would go and collect your speaker's sheet from, as well as you being able to send it to them in PDF style, which I'll get to in a moment. The next thing you want to include, and this sounds, some of these things are going to sound really, really like basic, but you'll be surprised at the number of people that actually put them together and then forget some of the most basic things. So the next thing you must make sure that you include is your best contact information. So if that's you, then you're going to put your contact information down. If it's not you and you have somebody, maybe you have an executive producer in your team, or you've got a booking agent, somebody that actually does the bookings for you, then you would want to make sure that you include that information on your speaker's sheet. The next thing that you can do is you could add your favorite quote or a great testimonial. So if you can get one or two testimonials on your speaker's sheet, that's also a really great thing to do. It gives you credibility. It also shows some social proof that you've actually been there, done that, and that you're really good at what you do. The other thing that you want to include is a link to all of your social media accounts, so all of your main and key social media accounts. So, for example, if you were somebody who was applying to be a guest on somebody else's live show, then the link that might be really important for that would be potentially Facebook if you're streaming live to it, or even to your YouTube channel. That way they can actually go away and watch some of your videos, because you're going to be presenting yourself on their show visually. So they're going to want to see, what do you look like? Are you prepared? Can you actually speak well when utilizing a camera? Very different format than what you would be doing if you were just using audio and on a podcast. Again, likewise, if you were applying to be on somebody's podcast, then you might also send them to a place that's got some of your audio recordings on it. Potentially, if you've been on other people's shows or other people's podcasts, you could send them to have a bit of a listen to you being a great guest on somebody else's show. The next thing that you want to make sure that you have, so if you're an author, or you've got some material out there that's really well known, then you will want to add images of that. So for example, I'm an author. I'm the author of the She Myth book. So of course I would include an image of the She Myth book on my speaker's bio. And I've also got a bit of detail or a keynote that I can deliver that's in relation to the book that I have written. So if you've got any books, or you've got specific type of material that you have created or you've been featured in, you may also want to utilize some space on your speaker's kit to be able to include things like that. The next thing that you want to have on there is just list out some of the topics that you would speak about. Ideally, 2 or 3 of them is a great number. So you might have your primary, or your primary talk, that subject that you speak on, and then you might have some alternatives or some secondary things that you may speak about. And you want to make sure that you adjust those in accordance with whose show you're applying to be on. So for example, if you were applying to be on a show like Unlocked, then you would you would watch my show, you would get a bit of a feel for what the show is about, maybe watch some previous guests that have been on, and you may adjust your speaker's kit and your speaker's sheet to align with that person's show, to align with you and what you talk about, but also with that person's show, so that they can see that there is some reason and some value that you're actually able to add to their show and also to their audience. The next thing that you want to make sure that you include is a bio. So in your bio section, you want to add your story and why you believe that you are expertly qualified to actually speak on that person's show or that person's podcast. The other thing that I've alluded to previously was adding some form of credibility. So I mentioned, I would put on there an image of the book that I have written, but you could also do things like as seen on or as seen in. So if you're seen in magazines or you're seen on other people's shows, then of course I would go ahead and use, the icons and logos of those high profile places and actually add them on, because that also increases the level of influence that you would have in the eyes of the host or the person that you are applying to be a guest on their show. I'd already mentioned this, but adding those alternative speaking topics, but you want to make sure that you do that and you don't just go in with just one, concept or one idea. You want to make sure that you're giving the person who's going to be booking you a few different ideas and some flexibility, so that they can start thinking, how can I kind of I can use what this person is talking about and utilize that to my advantage as well. So you want to make sure that you're coming at this from a win-win perspective. So just making sure that you're giving a couple of different concepts, a couple of different ideas, and allowing yourself to be flexible. What it also does when you do this is that if, for example, you were going to apply to be a guest on somebody's show and they've already had somebody who's spoken about your particular topic, or that has already got your level of expertise, then this also gives them a way of being able to have you on the show and some variety, so that's not the same thing over and over again. The other thing that you want to do is make sure once you've got all of these things in alignment, and that you've gathered, your headshot, you've got a short bio, you've got some, your credibility statements, credibility imagery, etc. You then want to move to designing your media sheet. Nothing worse than getting something that's, ad hoc, that's not, not professionally designed or doesn't look professional. Because often when we present ourselves with any kind of documentation, they're going to look at that documentation, and if it looks like a dog's breakfast, then they're probably going to think that you're going to show up looking and sounding like a dog's breakfast too. So you want to make sure that when you're putting that together, that it looks really professional. If you're not really good at graphics yourself, then I would enlist the assistance of somebody else who's a graphic designer, or even going to a site like fiverr.com, fiverr.com, and just searching for speakers one sheet and then submitting your information and getting somebody else to design it for you. The other thing that you can do is that you can go to a free website such as canva.com and then just start building it out for yourself. But like I said at the beginning of the show, I've got something special for you, which is actually a speaker's one sheet or a 2-pager that you guys are going to be able to download and actually be able to just customize it to your liking using all the elements that I'm talking about today. Once you've created your speaker's sheet, you want to make sure that you then download that as a PDF. So if you weren't using something like Canva and you were just doing it in, say, a Word document, you don't want to send just the Word doc. You don't want to send an editable version. You want to make sure that you download it or save it as a PDF file and then send that with all of your inquiries. So make sure that it's a PDF. That's the best way to send it. Then the next thing you want to do is you want to start thinking about who are you going to send these to. So if you want to appear on other people's shows, then you want to do some research. And a couple of episodes back on the Unlock show, I talked about how to find guests for your show. So if you go and watch that episode and you use the same methodology that I was talking to you about around how to find guests for your show, well, you can use that same methodology to actually find different shows and different podcasts for you to appear on. So I'd encourage you to go and have a look at that. You can go to my YouTube channel, Tracy M. Wilson, or Metadime Digital, and find that particular episode and have a listen, because I give you, I think it's 10 different ways that you can find guests for your show. And equally, you can use the same tactics to find shows and podcasts that you would like to appear on. So once you've done that, so the next question that most people then ask is, okay, so now I've got a speaker sheet. What do I actually say? How do I approach people? What do I email them? Do I ring them? What the heck do I do? So the easiest way to do this is to actually email people. And like I said, the question that we then get is, well, what am I going to say in this email? So the good news for you guys today is that I've actually, in the guide that I'm going to give you, I'm going to pop it up on the screen in just a few moments, which is going to give you the steps that I've just talked you through. It also has an email template in there, which you can basically copy and paste and fill in the blanks and then use that to send out to podcasts or podcast hosts and show hosts that you would like to be the guest on their show. So I'd encourage you, when I put it up on the screen, you head on over, you download the document, use it to your advantage. It's there, it's free, and it's available. And then also utilize the template, the email template that I provide to you too, which is just short and sweet and will get you a foot in the door. The other thing that you'll find on the document that I'm going to give you is an example. So I'm going to give you an example of what a speaker's sheet would look like. And like I said, it's going to also give you the opportunity to download a template that you guys can then utilize and, save yourself a whole lot of time, effort, and money by having to go and hire a designer or have to find somebody to do it for you. You can just simply download the document that I provide to you. You can plug and play all of your own information into it, swap out the imagery, and Bob's your uncle. You've then got your own speakers kit that you could utilize. There's a couple of other things that I'd like to kind of share with you today or mention that's really good to have. So even though this document that I'm going to give you is going to provide you with the opportunity to be able to create your speaker's sheet and and have that available for you to be able to provide to others as a PDF document, what I'd also encourage you to do is actually create a site on your website that hosts your speaker's information, so your media kit. So we'll have this document that I'm giving to you or that you're going to utilize today. It'll also, you want to make sure that you add your headshots or the headshots that you would like the host to use of you, and then any other promotional material that you would like to provide. So I would always put them onto a web page, a landing page of some sort, so that people can actually get them, really easily and be able to download it and then be able to contact you. So there you go, guys. Those are my tips, tricks, and tools that I use to get booked on other people's shows and other people's podcasts. And it's also the way in which I teach all of our students to do the same. And it's the way that I sort of vet people to be on my show too. These are the things that I'm expecting of them. So I hope that synopsis that I've just kind of run through today, the rattled off all the list of things that you can have, you should have in your speaker's kit, have been useful for you. And right now I'm just going to pop on over here. Let me pop this up on the screen. And this is where you can go to get yourself the guide. So go to Tracy M. Wilson. So TRACYM Wilson, WILSON.com/show dash. Whoopsie, and it's not that one. Let me just go grab it here. There we go. That's better. Here we go. So it's Tracy M. Wilson /speakers kit template. There you go. Helps if we put the right website up there for you, doesn't it? So again, just www.tracymwilson.com/speakers kit template. Head on over there. You can enter your email and then just download the document. It's available immediately. Get yourself through all of the guide that I provide to you, and then create your own template. Create your own speaker's kit from there, and then get yourself booked on other people's shows. And if you would like to be a guest on the Tracy Wilson show, then all you've got to do is head on over to Tracy M. Wilson, go to the page that has my shows on it, and then apply to be a guest. So I hope to see some of you guys, the listeners out there, as guests on my show sometime soon. So anyway, guys, I hope you guys are having a fantastic Friday. I'm going to call it a show for me, and I'm going to head off out into I'm actually heading off with my sister-in-law who's come over from New Zealand. We are heading to a cabaret show tonight, so it's going to be a whole lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to that. But I'm going to say bye from me for now, and I'll be back again with another episode of Unlocked next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Brisbane time. Thanks, everybody. And as you know, I always finish the show with go away. Make sure that you are living your life unlocked, because there is just no other way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye for now.